this podcast should be interesting today. We both had no sleep and ADHD, and so we'll just see where it takes us.
Yeah, it's going to be a journey.
Yeah, we'll cover healthy. Holly is a registered dietitian that specialises in disease prevention and, overall amazing human.
Oh, stop. I'm excited. It should be fun.
Yeah, all right. So we'll maybe touch on, you mentioned that as a kid when you were growing up, you struggled with a weight loss journey, and how was that for you?
Yeah, so I guess like I was just like a regular sized kid, we would just call it that, until I was maybe like about 7.
Yeah.
And then from like 7 to 8, I was a bit of a unit, you know, a bit of a chubby kid. Yeah. And my parents, food was really big in our house, so you just kind of eat what they eat. Yeah. The ethnic lifestyle, you know, that Eastern European vibe.
Got to feed everyone.
Lots of everything. Yeah. But a lot of snacks, and food was like a really social part of it. So they would, I guess, not eat the best like diet. Yeah. And when I say that, I don't mean they're on a diet, like a dietary intake. Yeah. And I followed in those patterns, and then it's sort of like going through school, I got bullied for being overweight, and then during like early high school, I became really obsessed with being like ultra healthy, like wouldn't even eat like a skerrick of fat, like
orthorexic.
Major orthorexic.
And what caused that? Like the confidence that came along with obviously being bullied.
Yeah, definitely being bullied and like being called fat, like in primary school, sort of like, and the other kids weren't fat, so it was just like me, and I grew up really quick. I was really tall, and I was just like a big kid. Yeah. So that sort of put me on the other side of it, and then after a while, I ended up like in this like cycle of being overweight, underweight, but I could never maintain like a regular body sort of composition. Yeah,
shit. Did you ever compete in a bodybuilding comp?
No, I actually once I got like a healthy relationship with food, I started like training a lot more, and I kind of got to the point where I wanted to, and then COVID happened, and
so more so like you wanted to than like punishment.
Yeah, I wanted to do it because it was more like a like something that I could do in a healthy way. I thought, how can I approach this like in a non binge restricty way?
Wow, that's amazing. And you mentioned like you struggled with eating disorders in the past. I don't want to go into it too much if you're not comfortable with it.
I'd say like mild anorexia when I was about 14. It was just like if I ate even something that I thought, it would be like steamed vegetables and chicken, like boiled chicken or something like that. And I'd think, that was such a lot of food. And I would aggressively exercise to try and combat that. Or I'd try to eat as little as possible. And
Wow, fuck. And you had binge eating previously? Yeah.
Mostly binging it. I'd say like that, like anorexia kind of stage was probably only like a year or two. And then it sort of went like completely the opposite way. And I just had restricted for so long that I was like, I'm going to eat the world.
Your body was probably starving.
It's like, give me all the snacks.
Yeah, 100%. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got into the gym when I was like 16, and it was all because I was battling with a really bad depression at the time. People were like, how do you train so hard? And I guess in some kind of sick way, it's like transmuting that. I like self-harmed a lot, and the gym and the pain through the gym was like a very healthy outlet for that. Yeah. For mental health, and with ADHD, it's really, really good. Yeah. But for a long time, I joined the gym, and then I competed the year later. And when I was in high school, I started competing. And so I developed very like rigid regimes around nutrition, and it was all like tuna and broccoli and
the bro
chicken.
Diet.
Yeah, I remember one time in gym class, I just opened up this tub of like rank raw tuna and broccoli that was off, and everyone smelled it. It was like,
don't be friends with her.
Yeah. I think for many years I was super rigid about it, and then developed pretty bad binge eating. But when you have an eating disorder, it feels like you're in a cage. Yeah. But you simultaneously have the key to get out of it. But it's really tricky at the time. I remember a couple of years ago, I did some photo shoots. I did 5 photo shoots back to back, and I really struggled with binge eating and bulimia after that. Yeah. It was fucking rough.
5?
Yeah, 5 photo shoots back to back. Yeah.
Over what time period?
a month.
Oh, wow. So just like horrendously dieting for like a month.
I remember actually driving straight after, I drove to Macca's and then I walked next door to KFC and I ordered like a family-sized meal. And then with like the Macca's and KFC in my hand, then went to the ice cream shop and got a bunch of desserts. I ate them in my car. And
it's all the things you missed out on for that month. You're like, well, I'll have them all now. Yeah.
But I think, honestly, I always go back to the basics with nutrition. What kind of healed me was like focusing on whole foods and quality.
100%.
Because I don't know, I firmly believe that, the moderation mindset around food that, include a little bit every day, that works for some people.
Not for everyone.
I've got some clients that they can have a little bit of chocolate every day. They need that to keep them staying in a deficit. Other people, like myself, for example, it just does not work. Like if you're taking foods that are literally designed in a lab to hijack your dopamine reward center and trying to just moderate them throughout the day, it doesn't really work.
I find the exact same
thing. You don't
thing.
actually need them as well. And you feel, I was really addicted to processed foods for a time, and that is when I had my worst binge eating ever. And I'm just speaking from my own experience. It doesn't necessarily mean other people, but when focusing on adding more whole quality foods, like Jacob and I did an entire rehaul of our diet. It used to be just a lot of processed crap, like to meet our carbs, like shapes.
Yeah, because you're like, it fits my macros. Like,
I would like put stevia in my oats, and then it became more honey, and then it became like cereal in the oats, and before you know it, you've got...
It's like this big bowl of everything.
It's stimulus. I feel better than ever just on quality whole foods. But
yeah, I completely agree. And you're so right though. Everyone is different. Like for me personally, some days I can just have a little piece of chocolate. If I'm really feeling like it, I'll have it. And I'm like, oh great, that satisfied me. But one thing that really helped me to stay off that like binge restrict kind of cycle was, instead of just having like a Cadbury's like super sweet milk chocolate, I'll pick a piece of dark chocolate because I know it still gives me that same satisfaction, but it's not making me go, cool, I just had so sweet, give me more, I want more. But for some people, they can have that little piece of Cadbury's or whatever. They can have a roll and stop, but I can't. So I steer away from it. But
100%.
Whole foods is definitely the way to go though. Like, what do you find like your clients struggle with most from a weight loss perspective?
Fat loss?
Yeah, fat loss. I should say fat loss.
Sorry.
Let's not say weight. Let's establish that.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is trying to create a shift in your habits and create a new version without actually changing the person that's going on here. Like, or just looking at Mark from Enterprise wrote a book that was really good on this, is that your goals need to be intrinsic rather than just looking at outcome based. So instead of like when the fat loss phase is going to be over, or just like 8 weeks, how can we ingrain this as a part of who we are? How can I enjoy the process? Because that is going to get us, long-term sustainable. That is always my goal as a coach, is to get people to enjoy training hard, to shift their identity to someone that's resilient, and they don't just always take the easy route, and they push themselves that little bit more in the gym. They enjoy eating to fuel their body and be healthy, rather than just like, okay, let's do another challenge. That's why I love training so much. It's actually very small, the physical element. It's so much the mental. Like often, and I see this all the time in my clients, is they think that they're done with their reps and they actually get like 5, 10 more. And just that little boost of confidence is someone that, even if they don't have confidence, that they can do a lot more than what they thought, is really inspiring. 9 times out of 10, like our body can do a lot more than the brain tells us.
That's so true. The brain is such a limiting organ. It's so amazing. It has such a huge capability to do more than what you think, but we tell ourselves, oh, that's enough. It wants to keep us safe. And I think it's so important to push past that. I think I heard you talk recently about that behavior change and that what you want to be and your goals for health becoming that, becoming your life. Can you recap that? Because when I saw it, I thought, oh my gosh, that is how I changed my life.
Basically, like when we want to go do audacious, set big goals, that little voice in our head tells us, no, that's silly, because we'd all be extinct if we didn't have that voice in our head. Is that what you meant, or?
Yeah, I think you went over it in a reel. You were like, you got to push past it. And everything is based on your own thoughts, your own beliefs. So just circling back to that, the moderation thing I heard you mention earlier, and I was like, oh, I got to say something. what is moderation? The reason why I'm not a huge fan of it, that term, yes, it can be amazing because you think, oh, yeah, I don't have to be so restrictive. But my idea of moderation and yours could be entirely different. Yeah. So what's the baseline? Somebody who's morbidly obese, say 40 kilos overweight, they don't eat fresh produce, they don't eat any whole foods, or, you know, moderation to them might be a whole pizza and a tub of ice cream for breakfast. Yeah. Yeah, instead of 2 pizzas and 2 ice creams. Yeah. And of course that's better, but...
Okay, I see the context.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that.
Different paradigms. Like if you're brought up in a family that eats junk and creating rewards around food.
That's how I got overweight. That's how I grew up.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think it just comes back to, it's the basic simple shit that it's, nutrition doesn't need to be complex. I mean, we look at what we've been doing for thousands of years. Yeah. We didn't even need diets back then. You know, we didn't need these fat loss methods or like 5 hacks. Yeah. No one was overweight because we just stuck to things that were like grown in the ground, farmed, fished, plucked. Like they weren't made in a lab with packaging. Yeah,
we ate when we were hungry. Yeah. We stopped eating when we were full. Yeah. You know, that we listened to the hunger cues and behaviorally we didn't rely on food for
But with moderation, it's like as well, if someone has like a food addiction, it's like with an alcoholic. You can't just moderate alcohol and have a little bit each day. Yeah. For me personally, like I was really addicted to sugar. And it's a bit of a touchy one to touch on because people are like, oh no, just make it fit your macros. Sugar isn't the devil. And I'm not saying it's the devil, but for me personally, I had a lot of issues with it when I was including it frequently. When I completely cut it out, I'm not to say I don't have a little bit like around training.
Yeah. But are we talking refined sugar?
Yeah. Refined, processed sugars and snack bars and protein bars. I had a lot of addictive issues with food around then because my hunger signals constantly. Yeah.
And you think about like even like you mentioned protein bars. Yeah. People think, oh, a protein bar, that's better than a chocolate bar. Yeah. Probably not. Like, I mean, it's quite similar. Yeah. And the amount of artificial sweeteners and things in it that, I mean, they don't make you, you know, crave things more. Any sweetness does. Any sweet thing is going to make your meat and veg taste really bland after it. Like, so filling up on those things can really like just really be so triggering for some people. Yeah. But they really work on our receptors in the brain for like dopamine and serotonin. They give us that quick hit and then we chase that hit again. It's the palatability. I think that's what it comes down to. Like people can say, oh, they are addictive or sugar is addictive. Like these things are not inherently addictive. Like they don't have the same response in the brain as say like illegal drugs, something that you're going to have a physical withdrawal from. But they really work on our receptors in the brain for like dopamine and serotonin. They give us that quick hit and then we chase that hit again. So it kind of, I mean, you do that with drugs too, but there's no like physical withdrawal. I just want to say that.
Yeah. But when I'm in drugs, I'm like, let's keep chasing that. We'll leave that bit out.
But I guess that it's the palatability. I think that's what it comes down to. If I'm sorry, went off a little side quest there.
No, there was a study that was like, I can't cite it or anything, but I heard it. It's like where they paired just sugar alone with the food or just fats, and then they paired fats and sugar together, and the mice, they like overate like crazy. Yeah.
And it comes down to palatability because it's really, you know, and also if it's refined or not, like, are you going to, you're more likely to overconsume or binge on something like white rice compared to brown rice. Like, because the brown rice is going to be a lot more filling.
Absolutely.
You're going to get that satiety, that satiation from it, and your brain is going to sort of
No, I think that's one of my biggest things with clients is like getting them to eat more vegetables, because some people just don't understand. Like they might have come from families where they just don't eat any veggies, but I'm like, girl, I don't mean 30 grams with your meal. I mean 300 fucking grams of vegetables
loaded up
with each meal. Like, but it's really interesting with the cravings. Would you say that it's more from, you get cravings more from like a deficiency standpoint, or is it more having foods that trigger the cravings?
I think it can be both. Definitely both. Yeah. And when you look at somebody who is having extreme cravings, like when you break it down and look at their diet, they might be having 5 like stevias in their coffee, or
that was
you know,
and
and then people do, and that's so. Then when you go and have like a say you have like, I don't know, yogurt, like a natural yogurt and granola, that's going to taste so sour.
I know. I taste Jacob's yogurt the other day. He doesn't put any sweetener in it.
Oh, no.
I was like, how the fuck do you eat this?
Like the Greek yogurt?
Yeah.
It's like eating
I'm
sour
over here
cream.
with my 10 stevias and like whipped cream and my coffee. No.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's totally fine to do that type of thing, but anytime that anything is like hyper palatable, like extra salt, extra sugar, adding sauces, you're going to want to eat more because it tastes good. You're like, this is good. I want to finish this. So you don't necessarily think, oh, I'm eating this meal because I'm hungry. Yeah. You may have stopped being hungry half a plate ago, but you're like, oh, just going to keep going for the flavor.
One of the best things in a calorie deficit you can do is just fruit and vegetables, like those, trying to fit tons of, I know a lot of coaches that are all like, if it fits your macros, just have, you know, protein pancakes with like ice cream and fit all this fucking junk into your diet. It's going to do more harm than good. It's going to create a lot more cravings, digestive issues. You won't feel as full. Like
that's a big one. Like when you are trying to lose fat, obviously you need to eat less energy dense foods. So you want the volume to be higher. Like nobody wants to eat a protein bar like this big. For that same amount of energy in that, you could have a whole plate of food. Absolutely. And think about the nutrients in that small little protein bar compared to that plate. Yeah. And I see the same thing with coaches saying, oh, my clients, they flexible diet. And that's great. You do need flexibility. But this is something that's just kicking off on socials at the moment. But a day on the plate for my clients. And I don't judge what people eat because everybody's
like a brownie
up to their
and
own.
Pancakes and
Yeah, but when I see your client's diet and I see, okay, you've got 150 grams of berries and you've maybe got like 2 serves of like frozen veg. There's nothing wrong with the frozen part. Yeah. But where's the rest of that? And then it's like, protein brownies or whatever. And I'm like, so that is, where's the nutrients? You don't have any calcium in this whole thing. Like, where are your micronutrients? Yeah, you got protein, carbs, and fats. But you're going to have major deficiencies.
Yeah, absolutely. If you think about the diet of the average Australian or American, I'm like horrified at.
It's not what like you or I would think is typical for us. Yeah. Like when you work in the nutrition space, like especially, I think being a dietitian, the difference between a nutritionist and a dietitian, there is a lot of, I guess, uni and there's a lot of like different like physiological studies and things like that. We won't get into that. But when I finished uni as a nutritionist in my undergrad, I thought, oh, great, I'm going to make everyone so healthy. Like, oh my God, I'm going to tell them to eat this and they're going to eat that. And, you know, they're going to supplement with this and everyone is just going to be like cured. And then when I went to my master's to do dietetics, they were like, cool, forget that. Your number one priority is what will people actually do? Because you can't tell someone, like if I say to you, this is the best diet or you need to do this and you've never done that and you don't like it, you're not going to do it. Yeah. Or you're going to do it for 1 week. Yeah.
Or I think one of the biggest things as well, especially coming from someone with ADHD, is like making things as least overwhelming as possible and making your nutrition not feel like a second job. Yeah. Because I can tell you, if your nutrition is super overwhelming, it takes a ton of planning, you're going to use up all of your mental resources on just trying to use willpower and it's going to tire up very quickly. So the biggest thing for me, like what I do with my clients, is I get them to, when I give them their macros each week, I get them to create their own meal plan, like from scratch with foods they enjoy, making sure there's enough micronutrients, protein, make sure it meets their targets. And then I'll get them to copy and paste that day to the next day for 7 days in advance. And if they run out of a food, they can just swipe it and delete it and replace it, rather than tracking from scratch every day, hoping for the best, wasting time tracking and realize that we're really under protein and really over on other macronutrients. So that's kind of the framework I use for
I love
macros.
That.
Yeah.
I think, and one key part of that that just makes me so excited is you get them to do it. Because a lot of people think, oh, great, I'll get this diet. They'll give me the diet and then everything magically happens. They have to do the work.
Well, then there's the question, like, what if you want to eat out with your family? Like, there is a fucking, like, there's a fine line, though. If someone comes to me for fat loss and they have a specific goal, they might be eating out multiple times a week and not willing to change that and just wanting to see amazing results with continuing to do that. There has to be some kind of negotiation, and there has to be an understanding of energy balance and like what they kind of put in food. So I've got a dining out resource.
Absolutely. That is so important.
Yeah.
A salad at home that you make versus a salad out.
Yeah. Because I get people to track and they're often like horrified at the amount of extra calories they've been eating that they weren't even aware. Another health thing is like, but it was healthy. I just ate meat and veg when I went out, and then send me a photo of like lamb shanks and potatoes. But it's like, your body can't tell whether it's healthy or unhealthy calories. Like
exactly.
Yeah,
it
that's
still comes
awesome.
down to
But
that energy
yeah,
balance. That's so true.
Yeah.
That I think that is a big one though, like the eating out thing. People will say, "Oh, I have a pumpkin and feta and chicken salad at home."
Yeah.
Like, I just got the same thing when I was out. But when you weigh up the difference in what goes into a salad that you get when you're out versus what you make at home. First of all, tell me which one tastes better. It's going to be the one the chef made because the dressing is delicious. There's so many extra added fats, and fat's not bad, but we have to remember that for every 1 gram of fat, there's nearly almost 3 times the amount of like energy or calories per gram compared to carbohydrates and protein, and the volume is so small. So your salad out, it could be 1,500 calories for one salad.
Absolutely.
Nuts and different things. And what you have at home, it might be 500.
Absolutely.
And they're like, why can't I lose weight?
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
One of the biggest, I think, hacks that's helped me and I've recommended clients is like just carrying around a packet of beef jerky or some cans of tuna in your handbag in your car. Like,
don't get hungry.
That is the biggest thing. I think a lot of people will unintentionally intermittent fast. They'll skip breakfast. They'll have a coffee. They will crash from that, and then they'll binge in the evening.
It's so true.
And then it repeats that cycle of not feeling like having breakfast.
Because you're full, because you overate at night. And big time.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think that people don't realize that having those huge spikes in blood glucose from eating, and when I say that, I don't just mean, you ate sugar. You're going to get your spikes in blood glucose come from anything you eat. Yeah. Because your body essentially breaks everything down into that at the end of the day. Yeah. So that being ultra low, that 2 p.m. slump that people get, a lot of times it's from not having enough water or not eating at all or eating like huge amounts, and snacks is the key. Yeah.